Hi, I'm out in the woods again today. It's another one of those where I've just snuck out quickly in between domestic chores and situations. It is a bank holiday again, so I don't have very long, but I'm sure I'll come away with a few pieces of wood for myself, or i.e. sticks, and I'm trying to be a little bit more choosy in what I pick these days. As with everything, you can get into a mentality of I need this, I need that, I need this, I need that, and in retrospect, you're picking wood that is going to be harder for you to manufacture into stick, i.e. more bending, more shaping, more taking out knots, more processing. So I'm trying to be a bit more picky. That works, you know, as a two-way street, i.e. it means more work for me to find those pieces, but on top of that, it also means more time out here. Now, you can argue that's not a bad thing, and it isn't, but ultimately it means, like I say, more work and more time, and I need a bigger flask of coffee, I think. Yeah, I'm actually looking, obviously, as I've just mentioned, for my basic blanks, as in sticks, but also I'm actually chasing that kind of like a unicorn, or shall we say, elusive twisted stick. I do get a few, they come along, but it's not as many as I'd like, or shall I say, as customers ask for. Um, they do seem to be heavily in beechwood, or shall we say, deciduous, or shall I say, native woodlands more. And basically, honeysuckle and vines will creep up, basically strangle the young runners off the hazel. But when they do that, they bite into the actual trunk or wood, and as the tree grows, obviously the vine strangles into it, and eventually it cuts into it, and the tree grows around it, and it forms a nice spiral. And yeah, customers do tend to ask for that type of stick. Obviously, it costs more because it costs me more time to search out those particular sticks, and then when you're manufacturing, you've got to dig it all out and sand back through. It does take a lot more work, so obviously those sticks do cost more. But having said that, I am now, you know, beginning to also think about trying to get a few more of those. So if I see any, I shall take some, but obviously where I'm actually harvesting, there isn't that many, so I will have to, shall we say, scout over to another area where I do know there is a lot of vines. But even if there are vines there, that doesn't mean that they've cut into, shall we say, to make a perfect spiral. Quite often, you know, they haven't done what I'm looking for, and they've just held to the outside, or it's on too big a limb, the size of your arm, which it's done it to. Well, you know, you're not going to get many people that can, shall we say, manage a hiking stick as thick girth as your arm, or they're too small and flimsy yet to take, and they're not going to make a proper stick. So yet again, the parameters make it a hard thing to find in itself. We have some rabbit holes in a bank here. The reason I'm showing you this is because I suppose, unless you're familiar with the workings of wildlife and of such, there's another one coming out of there. I'll just take you to show you what the humble rabbit can do. Now, it's might not seem much, but young trees like this have been exclusively damaged. As you can see, the bark's been taken off, gnawed away. Now, that young tree now will struggle to grow, if indeed. Oh, and looking around the backside, you can see it there. That's not deer. Deer would be slightly further up. And as there's rabbit holes here, you have to give the rabbit the honours for, well, destroying this tree. I think it's going to struggle. It will be stunted. It's nearly ringed, not fully, so it's not going to fully push up through. So if there is an extensive rabbit or deer population in an area, young trees will suffer the consequence. Particularly our native ones will take a massive hammering, and the younger ones will struggle to get a foothold. People will say that's nature, but unfortunately the deer and rabbit populations can explode out of control, and it's the same thing with all wildlife. When that happens, the environment, just as humans really, just the environment takes a big hit on its, shall we say, flora and fauna. So yeah, you do have to be aware that wildlife can, shall we say, encroach and damage the environment around it if it's left unchecked. This young tree here, as you can see, it was just too much for it. I would say that's possibly deer because it's getting above a rabbit's reach. But as you can see, this tree is dead. It's gone, it's no more. There was just too much of an extensive damage to the outer bark. And this one is totally gone now. Yeah, that's just what happens. Like I say, you expect that now and again, but you will find in heavily out of control deer or rabbit populations, young trees just don't stand a chance. Just out of interest, look what this vine has done to this, shall we say, pine tree. It's absolutely strangled it to death. Obviously that wood is no good, you know, even if it was the right size and everything like that for me to manufacture a stick. You don't, this is nothing that I can use. But it's just an interesting fact for you to see how much a vine will strangle a tree. It's wrapped around and it's really distorted it. That's just something interesting for you to see. I mean, I'm just going to make one last ditched effort to see if I can find any with twist, as I've described earlier. So yeah, I've moved into this particular part of the forest. And there's a lot of young hazel which is being, shall we say, swallowed with undergrowth and obviously vines. So I'm going to have a quick look, see if I can select a piece from here. There's no guarantee. I've been here a couple times and I know it's heavily populated with honeysuckle and vines. But like I've just described to you, there's no guarantee in any of this. This is nature, so there's no guarantees. But just a little chat about 2022. For me, it's going to be much of the same, but a slight difference is when we go and do our craft fairs and things like that, I shall be introducing some photography that I've done along the way. Selected photos, not a huge range, but I'm just going to try it. A lot of people do seem interested in the hikes I do, and I do have a lot of photography. Not of the best quality, because as you've probably gathered, I'm doing everything on a mid-range budget phone, if that makes sense, or is that, if that really is the way forward? Probably not, if you're going to do what I'm doing. But I do have some photos that are definitely worth but I've got some myself. I've put in a frame and put on the walls, and they look quite nice. And other people have commented on them, so I'm going to take some photos along with me, and perhaps just round up that experience, you know, the hiking stick and a photo of being out on the trail and actually doing it. So yeah, and I have always floated with the idea of doing some hoodies and things like that, so possibly going down that road, but like I say, 2000 and shall we say 21 and 2020 were, shall we say, some pretty taxing years, so nothing can be taken for granted. That's the one thing that you can take away from the previous years. This little baby runner of a hazel tree here. Is it hazel? Yeah, I think it's hazel. You can see it's been hit quite heavily with some honeysuckle, and it's got those distinctive twists. Not the best quality, but obviously this one is at least 4 to 5 years away from even being harvested. But as you can see, that is what the honeysuckle does, even at this young age. And that stick there is no bigger than thumb thickness, but you can see what it's already done to that little runner. Just take a look at that. There's actually buds coming off this young tree here. Now, we've only just gone past Christmas. There is something completely wrong with this year. All the old boys were telling me that it was going to be a hard winter. It's been really mild and wet, and yet this tree is trying to throw some buds out. Strange times. I'm just taking a small break with a cup of coffee. It's not been the most productive harvest. I've still to get what I want to take for coming out. I don't take a lot each time I come out, you know, possibly 6 pieces. That might not seem a lot, but as I said to you, I'm more selective, and on top of that, I'm a small-time manufacturer. I have no need for the quantities. But even so, you know, to come out, I still need to come away with something. So yeah, I should be happy to get another couple pieces, and then I'll wrap this up and call it a day.